the heck? Let me fix this. I just did an interview with Mike Reno of Loverboy. That was fun. I'll get to our topic in a second. Jeez, that's bright. It's like I'm scaring myself. Hold on. Hold on a second. You're going, where's the host? What kind of a peanut shop is this? What's going on? Get your stuff together. Rock history music. There you go. That's better. That's a little bit better. Hi, folks. How you doing? I'll answer your questions in a second. I just want to get to this story. People have been hounding me. This is like a few days late already. And people have been hounding me saying, okay, what do you think about this? Hi, Art. Ooh, that's scary. Well, did Alex Lifeson really, well, not directly, insult Phil Collins and Genesis? He was doing a radio interview. He was doing an interview with Ultimate Guitar. And, okay, he says, when talking about people being out there, I mean, I get it. And I think for a lot of people, it's great. They reach that point in their lives after a long career in whatever it is that they do. It's weird in this line of work. And I guess it's the same thing with athletes. This is what Alex said. In professional sports, when you come to the end, especially with us, and we still have gas in the tank, we, Rush, could have continued touring if we had the strength. We could have continued touring. I think we were playing great on that last tour. I thought we played well. I thought the show looked fantastic, and you could argue that's the best way to go out. And that's kind of the gist of what he was saying about this kind of stuff. And then he went on. That's where your legacy is intact. That's how people remember you. They remember you at that show where you played that song that they've listened to for 40 years. And it was the best version they've ever heard of that song. And that's what they're left with. They're sad that it's over, but at least they have a memory. Unlike some artists who end up in a chair on stage singing. There's the Phil Collins part. I would never, ever want to be like that. For what purpose? Is it money? Is it some egotistical drive? Get over it. Get over yourself. You know, it's just, I don't know. I'm just not like that. And then one more quote from Alex Lifeson. So I'd rather be productive. I'm going to continue working. I'm not going to play Rush songs. So that's a big thing that people missed. And I should have put that even in the headline. He's not interested in doing that and retracing the crime again. I'm not going to try to be what I was when I was 25 years old or 30 years old. I'm a different person now. I'm still the same person, but I think differently. I'm thinking and playing acoustic guitar before I go to bed every night for a couple of hours now. And I'm loving it. No one's in the room. My wife's not even in the room. And I'm having so much fun. My fingers, oops, sorry, I just lost that. My fingers are hurting, which is a good sign. I just shake my head and I just thank the gods that I was able to do this. And I'm being able to do this. I hope to continue until the very last big open E chord I play. Well, I'd be hard pressed to say he wasn't talking about Phil Collins, and you know, where is that quote? I would never ever want to do that. For what purpose? Is it money and some egotistical drive? Get over it. Get over yourself. So that was obviously a dig. If he would have just said sitting in a chair, I could understand that. But he's allowed to his opinion, and people in the message boards, and so many people have been bugging me to cover this, and you know what I think of it. I think the same way you do. I go back and forth and going, I don't want to see Phil Collins performing in a chair, and I've said this in my reports about Genesis with Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks and Phil Collins going out there and doing their thing. But my wife asked me yesterday, she said, but if they were coming to town, if they were coming here, wouldn't you want to go out and see them one last time? And I had to admit, then all of a sudden, because I didn't have to think about that, I stopped and I went, well, Yeah, I guess I would go see them. If they came to this town, I wouldn't travel to see them. So there's a part of me that when he said that, I went, well, was it necessary to say that? He's obviously talking about that. And some people on the message boards were saying things like, well, you shouldn't speak ill of other musicians. Oh, come on. That's not a rule. I mean, that's a nice thing to do, of course, right? I don't go around bitching about other people who do what I do very often. It's very, very rare. Um, because what's the point? It's not necessary. You don't have to do that. So what he said wasn't necessary, but he feels strongly about it. That's the other part of it. Was he trying to be malicious? Well, that last part, get over yourself, it's just, I don't know when he says that. Is it money? Is it some egotistical drive? Get over it, get over yourself. So he feels strongly about it. And that's I'll get your questions in a second. It's a strong thing to be able to say that. So if you go in the message boards for Rush, some people are saying, well, Alex has lost his mark a little while ago, or else some people are saying Geddy Lee couldn't really sing at the end very well. And it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Maybe we have selective thinking with things like that, but I want to know what you think. I just think his comment wasn't necessary. I'd love to sit down with Alex and talk to him, but everyone said things they're either going to regret or maybe shouldn't say. It's not like I want to make excuses for him, but he's been such a classy guy through much of his career that it's not like Alex Lifeson to say something like that. It's just not like him. So do you give him a pass? Not totally, but you earn, reputation is someone else's business, and people will give someone a pass if they've been good for a long time. So that's kind of why I stand. I mean, I'm feeling kind of high tonight. You know why? No, not because of what you think. I'm on a low carb diet, and my body's just going. I was interviewing Mike Reno of Loverboy for like almost an hour, and he was great. But near the end of it, I was going, why do I feel so weak? Because he's just a bundle of energy. So what do you think? I'm going to go into your comments, and I'm going to rock and roll them. What? What's that even mean? What's John Beaudin talking about? He's a crazy guy. Okay, I'm going to go into your comments now. Look how big it turns out. So we have 62 people watching, which is pretty good. By the way, like our video if you like our video. I'm just sending it out there. So many people said, what do you think? Why aren't you covering this? You cover Rush, you cover Genesis a lot. You should be saying something. I'm going, I don't think anybody cares what I say. You're going to have a strong opinion either way. I noticed the Genesis people are really shocked and saddened, and they're maybe 10, 15% of them are going, well, he shouldn't be out there. People are going, he should be out there if he's okay. But it doesn't mean it's like wearing pink hair in 1971. If you do that, you're going to get some people who go, what's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? Or having tattoos on your face. Even now, some people are going to go, oh my God, you're always going to do that. So if you go out there and you're sitting on a chair and you're frail, but you're still doing it and people are still coming, I think that's okay. You'll just get some people who would never check that out, right? Art Matters. Hi, guys. Lucinda says, I saw Loverboy in 83 at the Fabulous Forum in SoCal. Cool. Lucha. Hi, Lucha. Lucinda. Hi, John. Maria Day. Hi, John. Hi, Maria. Melody R. Hey, thanks for the donation, by the way, today. Ronnie Parker. Hello, John. Art Matters. Why is Alex selling his guitars? I don't know. I think there's a point after a while. I asked Randy Bachman if he was ever going to sell his guitars. He went, well, he kind of liked what I told him. Steve Lukather says, I'm not going to sell my stuff till I'm gone. My kids can sell my stuff. I want my stuff around me. So part of him agreed with that. JW Prime Time. I saw Phil 2.5 years ago. He still sang great. I heard Adam Carolla yesterday talking about how bad he's gotten with the Genesis shows. Search the last few YouTube videos, the decline in 2 years. Okay. Art Matters. The overall legacy of rock prog is truly awesome. I agree with you. Yes. Lucinda Beggs. I agree with Alex. Phil is not in touring shape. I get you. JW Primetime. The chair was easy to accept. when we saw him, but his voice and energy are just 2 years ago, from just 2 years ago. My wife is a hospice nurse, and she said, like, oh, this isn't good, Tony. Oh, wow. Really, eh? Maria Day. I saw Phil Collins play with Eric Clapton. It's sad Phil can't play anymore. Excuse me. The drumming part is sad, yeah. But I can get over that because he always had a second drummer, right? Bill Bruford, then Chester Thompson, and now his son. DJ H, Record Hound. Look at Levon Helms. Kept going even after he couldn't sing anymore. DJ H says Levon loved it. Johnny Winter played to the bitter end, and some people do. But you're going to get some people and fans alike, and Alex Lifeson, because he obviously meant Phil Collins, who are just think that's kind of tough. And he didn't say it, but he thinks it's a little pathetic. But like I said, I would go see Phil Collins. And Genesis. I didn't know till my wife asked me yesterday, well, what if they came here? What if they came to Moncton? Would you go if you could get tickets? And I went, so first time I thought, you know what? I would go. I'd rather see them like this than never see them again. And then the argument is, do you want that to be your last thought? Well, I'm a little bit bigger than that. I saw them with the Duke tour, and I saw them with the self-titled Genesis, Mama tour, and it was fantastic. I only saw them twice. Lauren Stein, love both Rush and Genesis. Fully agree with Alex that was very vocal in my absolute opposition to his Last Domino tour. Art Matters, John, yes, he was Rush's Joker, possibly the greatest guitarist from an era. Ronnie Parker, Leslie West went out in a wheelchair. That's true. That took guts. Lucha, sick of watching washed up has-beens from the 70s pretending to be in 1976. It's killing rock bands. Maria Day, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you, Maria. Well, only 18 of you hit the like button. We're just having an open discourse about the Dorsch. And yeah, an open discourse. Borsch. What the heck? Who is this host, John Beaudin? Well, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like our video, because we come on here once every couple of nights lately just to talk, and I just want to make sure you guys have a voice. You can come on here, and if you think I'm full of hoo-ha, you can tell me, and that's okay. Tor Porco, hey buddy, I saw Paul Simon in 2018. He stood for 2.5 hours, and his voice was still decent. Unlike Phil, which is why I refunded my Genesis tickets after reading bad reviews. Oh, okay, well. You put your money where your mouth is, or in this case, you took it out, right? Curtis, 48. Alex is over 60. Commenting over 60 is all good. Alex is older than the person yapping. If you're talking about me, I'm 62. Chris Nodgrass, I love to see Phil Collins in concert. Maria Day, hi, Toro. You guys are forming a friendship. That's nice. Derek Vaughn, hey, Derek. What Alex said is no insult, merely an opinion. Well, when he said get over yourself, that's the only thing. I mean, he dug a little deeper when he says, for what are you doing that for? Get over it, get over yourself. That's where it became a little sharper. And that may be the part that was unnecessary. But he's allowed to say, I wouldn't do that. There's nothing wrong with that first part. And a lot of people, I saw someone reporting on it yesterday, and they left it at that. And they didn't say the other part. I'm going, you can't talk about this story without saying the other part, and mentioning the fact that he's going to continue doing music. He will not be playing Rush songs. That's kind of an important thing. Alex says, I'd like to hear Phil Collins do an unplugged performance. I don't know if you can't hide with unplugged, right? Melody R. Alex is not a malicious guy. And that's what I said. I think he earns points. When you have someone who it's an isolated incident, not completely, of course, we all do kooky stuff, but he's not necessarily ever doing that. He's not known for insulting people. They've always been a very classy band. They're Canadian. So FD wrote, hey, FD, I don't think you've been on here before. Phil and Genesis have 50 years in the bank, loved by millions. They're entitled to say goodbye properly, even if it's not at full strength. I agree with you. Yeah. Excuse me. DJH writes, agreed. I bet there's no malicious intent with Alex, and he's not like that. He doesn't do that. I mean, you'll say something off the cuff sometimes, and I've done that in videos, especially in the beginning. And even then, I'd been in radio 8 years or 30 years when I started doing this channel. I think I'd been in radio 32 years, 30 years. I've been in radio 39 now. So in the beginning, I'd say, and I know what to say and not to say, because that's my job. It's like if you're a plumber or whatever you do, if you're a doctor, anybody out there, you're good at your job. If you're doing it for 30 years, you got to be good at it. You wouldn't be doing it. But even for me at 30 or 32 years of broadcasting, I kind of knew what to say, but I'd still put my foot in my mouth now and then because I'm not used to talking this long. I certainly don't. I talk for 20 seconds on my radio show in Vancouver every night. Jack Hammer, Dusty Hill played until the end. He did indeed. David says, I think Phil is needing to make a living. His wife cleaned him out. I heard that, yes. Bob C. Perry, saw the Eagles Thursday. They crushed it 3 hours and 5 minutes. My 10th time seeing them. Have not lost their fastball. Wow, I've never seen the Eagles. I only saw Don Henley twice. And he sang, of course, the Eagles songs, but it's not the same. Art matters. We have Xanadu enough. Lauren says, not for money or ego. Phil toured because his son is a drummer. I never thought of it. There's a son thing. Now I wanted him to have R&R tour memories. Just misguided and pathetic. Lucinda, ironic that Phil has such an aversion to touring for decades, but now he can't seem to say no. Well, Phil hit some bad, at one point he even admitted that he was drinking an awful lot. You know, it's not uncommon for some old rockers to sometimes have a little drink every single night, and sometimes having too much drinks. It's hard on your body to do that. But Phil was, as from what I'm paraphrasing, as far as I know, he was drinking a lot and very depressed, wasn't moving around an awful lot, and finally decided that he wanted to live. So I think that he left because of that and the problems with his marriage, but we're speculating here. We don't really know. Phil should, this is Lucha, that's right. Phil should do a spoken word tour like Bruce Dickinson. Yeah, I just saw clips of that today. FD, yes, mate, first visit. Like it so far, subscribed. FD, thank you, appreciate that. We do, just so that you know, we do artist interviews every single day. Like we just talked to Mike Reno, Loverboy, Randy Bachman before, Kenny Loggins, just Nazareth, Sweet, Journey, Genesis. Yes, we interview all of them. So FD, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Alex Jetson, I'd like to see Alex play with a group of consistent child prodigies. I never thought of that, but that's not a bad idea. Blind Fate. I think Phil Collins has reunited with Genesis as he really has nothing else to do. After retiring for 4 years and his wife taking him for a ride, I'm not sure what's going on with his wife. His wife, you know, I don't like to talk about the way people look, but his wife looks completely different than the way she used to look. Like she looks like a totally different person. Like it's not the same person. And that's okay when you get older, but I think she fudged it a little bit, and you got to be careful with that stuff and get out of hand. And they've had a colorful relationship. You know, they've had, it doesn't sound healthy, but again, I'm not there. Melody says, I share the same birthday as Phil Collins. Cool. Robert, I think when Phil couldn't play the drums anymore, that should have been the end. Alex is not trying to be hurtful. I think he knows when the end happens. That's a really good way of putting it. I think that, again, because Alex never does this, I mean, to say that I wouldn't do that on a chair, that's fine. But when he said, you know, what are you holding on to? You know, get over yourself. John McCrae says, I agree, really not like him to say something like this. Weird comments from Alex. Everyone gets old. If people come and see you play, why not play? They played to pack stadiums. That's another thing. Well, remember that. They're selling out everywhere. This is definitely the end for Phil Collins as far as performing. I was asking Mike Reno tonight. I just talked to him an hour ago, and I said, is there an end date for Loverboy? And he says, well, as long as we can do it. And he didn't mention Phil Collins, of course. And I say of course because most people wouldn't do that. But you're allowed, if you're a performer, to do that and say, I do what he's doing, and I wouldn't do what he's doing. I wouldn't go out in that capacity. It's just that when he said, get over yourself, what are you trying to get? Joe R. I don't think Joe R. has been here before. How you doing? I'm 21, and I'm glad at least I got to see Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks, and Daryl Sternberg perform live. There you go. See? There's that part of you saying, I'm glad I was there. Jim, have you been here before? I don't recognize a username, just Jim. Genesis' The Last Domino Tour has nothing to do with the music. It's about saying goodbye to one of the best bands ever. They certainly were. At least that's how I came to view it. Very grateful that I got to see them. There you go. And let's look at that. What about people? There's a whole other crew of people who have never seen them, and all of a sudden, here's their chance. Here's their chance to, by the way, please like our video. Their chance to see them if they've never seen them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have seen them. And the fans that are going know that Phil Collins is in a chair. Now we're kind of deviating a little bit, but that's okay. Jeremy Skaggs says, Phil is sadly getting old. He just can't do it anymore. Genesis is awesome, so is Rush. There you go. Iron Man 2009. Back in the day, Genesis got way more radio play than Rush. It's very true, even though Rush was much better. Well, their songs were more complicated. Better, what is better, right? But if you like Rush more, then you're right. If you like Genesis more, then you're right, because everyone's right when it comes to what they like musically. Some people always say, no, you don't. When I was doing my thing the other day, where's my list? Oh, it's over there. When I was doing my list the other day of my top albums of 82, because I wrote down every song and every album I played. And then I found the list and I went, oh my God, I've got the list of every single album I played in 1982. And since some people were going, oh, how come Thriller is not there? And I'm going, well, it took me a while to get into Thriller. And Thriller was released, I think, if I remember correctly, in November of 82. So the latter part of the year, and I didn't buy it right away. So it wouldn't have been in my top 10, 20, or even 100, even though I got to really love the album, because I loved the album before it, Off the Wall. But someone said, how could you not have, Thriller on there? I'm going, well, Thriller was a hit at the end of the year, right? Didn't have time to become the number one album. And it certainly wouldn't have been for me anyway. And then someone said, well, how can you have Jump Up by Elton John being your number one album of the year? I was a fanatical Elton John fan. That was his latest album. I'm not wrong for liking that album. Would I have picked it today? Probably not. And I haven't played the album very much since then. But it was a moment in time. So people are weird when it comes to that. I'm going, you like what you like. You can't tell someone what to like. They're going to like something. That's it. It's only in elementary school or even maybe the beginning of high school we'd come up to someone and say, oh, man, they suck. Not to them. You can't tell someone what to like. Let's get back to the comments, shall we? Joe R. No, I got yours. Jim got yours. Bob C. Perry interviewed Tony Banks 30 years ago. Oh, cool. When they played Cleveland Stadium, a great guy. I saw Phil's solo 4 years ago. Glad I did. Oh, cool. Thanks, Bob. Jeremy Skaggs. Phil is sadly getting old. Okay, I read that. Read that. Last Child says, it wasn't over when Peter and Steve left, so neither should Phil's departure. Alex Knight, the band is on fire. Mr. Neil, that's a good username. He wouldn't be in a chair if he had the choice, and that's very true, but he is. Maria Day, I'm glad I got to see Phil and Rush, and yeah, I did as well. I never saw Phil solo. I never did. Even though I liked his albums a lot. Al Broderick. Oh, do I still have my albums? There you go. This quickly. I played this the other day. These are some of the albums I played in 82. Of course, that was late 70s. Al Stewart, we're going off the track. Sniffing the Tear, I'm interviewing their singer in a couple of days. Kayak. Phil Collins, Speak of the Devil. Toto, 1982. 82, If That's What It Takes. 82, Met at Work, Business as Usual. This was not from 82. It was from the 70s. Starlight Dancer. It's Kayak. Roy Harper, not from 82. The Unknown Soldier. Big Alan Parsons year for me. Turn to the Friendly Card. And there you go. Just some of the albums that I was presenting the other day from 82. So, and let's go back to the comments. That's right. Oh, it is November. Yeah, I remember it was near the end of the year, and I was about to get started in radio. In May of 83, I got into radio. So my 39-year anniversary is coming up. Okay, Iron Man 2009. Phil Collins' solo also got way too much airplay at the expense of others like Rush. Well, Rush didn't do airplay stuff. It wasn't like they didn't have room for Rush. Rush didn't play. They didn't do like radio-friendly stuff. Jeremy Skaggs, we just had Journey and Toto here. I wish I could have gone because who knows how long they'll be around. And Toto just canceled, by the way, their solo tour. I'm not sure why. I haven't talked to Luke in a while, Steve Lukather's not with them. Steve Picaro's not with them, rather. And Shem I talk to on a regular basis, who used to be their bass player. Lee Childs. Should Genesis continue without Phil? I say yes. I don't think at this point they really can. I hear what you're saying. Mr. Neal. So every musician should retire at 65? No, God. No, not at all. Lucinda. On the other hand, Alex would have never been the one to end Rush. You're right, because him and Geddy wanted to continue. Blind Fate. One more Genesis studio album. Imagine what that would sound like. I'd be open to that. Yeah, I'd be open. But people don't release music for money anymore. It's not big money anymore, unless you do what some of the people are doing. Jethro Tull's doing it. Marillion's doing it. They'll have like 10 different versions of the album. If you want extras, you want the DVD of the making of, and even that stuff costs a lot of money to make, but they're doing that. Robin says, myself being a drummer, Phil was absolutely one of the heroes, as was Neil Peart. I wish that they would have just said, that's it. I must say, though, Phil's son is great on the drums. He really is. Iron Man 2009, so true. I think Rush has maybe like one song about a girl. Well, Neil Peart did do a lot of the lyrics, right? FD, saw every tour since Foxtrot in 72. No kidding. Wow. Except the 2007 due to family bereavement. Oh, sorry to hear that. One of the best live acts ever. Yeah, what are you going to do? Alex is not known to say things like, get over yourself. I wouldn't do it in a chair. Get over yourself. So he has to score some points. And he does what they do. That's the thing. You're going, why would he do that? Yeah, but he's also a musician. He's allowed to have an opinion on it. But then again, a lot of you come up and say, why are musicians talking about politics? They shouldn't. Well, the guy who does my lawn talks about politics. The guy who cuts my meat at the grocery, he talks about politics. Everyone talks about politics. And all of a sudden musicians can't. I understand musicians have a big forum and they shouldn't use it for that. But everyone has an opinion, and Alex does what Phil Collins does. I mean, Phil's a drummer, Alex is a guitarist. But they're in two huge bands, known for their chops, and he just couldn't do that. I think he had a visceral reaction to it. I mean, when I first saw Phil in the chair, I went, oh my God. And then I started to soften up to it, thinking, and again, like I said, my wife yesterday said, you think you wouldn't see Phil Collins and Genesis if they came here? Mr. I won't go see them like this. And I had to admit, you know what? I would go. I would go see them. I'd see Rush. Would you see Rush without Neil Peart? I think most people would. They won't call it Rush. We know that because they're too classy for that. But yeah, I asked Mike Reno tonight, when their bassist died and Spider replaced him, he died in that boating accident. I said, was there ever a time where you guys thought Loverboy would stop? And this is a totally different type of band. This is more of a good time rock and roll, driving your car with the top down or your truck with the windows down kind of band. And he said, we thought of it for a split second, but why would we do that? Why would we do that to the fans? Which goes back to Led Zeppelin quitting when Bonham died. The Who didn't quit when Keith Moon died. You know, AC/DC didn't do it. Bon Scott died. They didn't quit. I'm glad the bands that continued. Was it the same? No. It's a little harder with the Doors. You know, when Jim Morrison died, that's a little harder. Okay. Iron Man 2009. Alex had taken to drinking a lot of beer lately. I think so. Like the time he got arrested for some BS. I don't remember that, but I'm sure. I mean, if you Jeremy Skaggs, what's your thoughts on ZZ Top still going without Dusty? I think it's fine if they want to do it. You know what? Here's the thing. The bottom line is if people show up, you know, you'll get the haters that'll say, oh, I can continue my thing. Don't continue my thing. It's not my thing anymore without that guy. And I get that. Then just don't go. You'll complain. You'll always get people who want to complain, and they have the right to complain and say, I don't like that. Alex was kind of doing that here. Not that he was a Phil Collins or Genesis fan, but everyone has a right to bitch, right? And especially in this day and age, everyone's bitching on stuff. But Alex hasn't done that a lot. We'll go back to our original point. I don't think he's the type of guy. He was being flippant. Like I said on this channel, I've been flippant and said stupid shit. And I go, oh, did I just swear? Try not to swear because I get demonetized. One crazy white boy. There's a username. Genesis did replace Phil once with Ray Wilson. Yes. Calling All Stations was the album. And that was pretty good. So what went on once without him? So they went on once without him. Sorry, sometimes I read other people's words and it's hard to read. Boda Rob. There's a username. I was shocked when I saw Phil, but still have much respect for the man and his work. There you go. FD, I'm glad you're still on. I'd have loved the chance to say thank you and good night, but we won't see them in Oz. Oh, you're in Australia. Lucha. I don't know what that means. Oh, you're talking about money for a vinyl LP. I buy used vinyl. I can't buy the new stuff. I can't afford it. Johnny Torch. I'll tolerate no disrespect of the legend that is Phil Collins. Al Broderick. It's good to have three singers like the Bee Gees and Toto. Toto always had multiple singers. That's true. I mean, now that you have Steve Lukather and Joseph Williams in Toto, they're both really, really good singers. And they used to have David Paich, but he didn't sing a lot near the end on stage. Spacey says, good evening. Hi, Spacey. I don't think you've been on here before, have you? I don't recognize your name. Hike with Mike. Hi, folks. Hey, Hike with Mike. Nice to have you back. David writes, like Sudio and Billy don't lose that God. Okay, number. Blind Fates. I'd see Rush without Peart. I would too. Everyone talks about Portnoy, though, more than anybody else. I'm getting that over and over again. And recently he said it again just before Christmas that he would join the band in a second. Mike Portnoy, that is. Tim Van de Kam. Had the night of my life last Monday on my first Genesis gig. So glad they gave me a chance. There you go. See, you're not complaining. Made your life better. I think more people leave a Genesis concert today happy they went. I don't think a majority would leave and say, oh my God, because I saw clips. I wish he wouldn't be in the chair. I wish he was in better health. I love Phil Collins, one of my favorite artists of all time. AM Music says, calling all stations was terrible. I didn't think it was terrible, but it was not the same. When we did, and you can look it up, look up my name, John Beaudin, top 25 Genesis songs, or top Genesis albums on Rock History Book. That's another channel. This is Rock History Music. And you'll see that Genesis fans who were prog fans, I specifically went into the Genesis pages to ask them to vote, and all the prog pages that I was a member of on Facebook to vote. And calling all stations barely got any votes. So the fans spoke. And obviously, if I did the pop version of that, if I only asked pop fans, it would have been the same because they would know it less because it didn't sell nearly as well. One crazy white guy saw ZZ Top without Dusty. They played really well and did a nice tribute to Dusty. Oh, cool. AM Music for Phil. The issue for me isn't so much that he's in a chair, but he really can't sing very well anymore. And that I have to agree with you. He's not a great singer anymore. Anthony Sondheim, Journey has more than one singer too. Well, they usually have one guy and another guy harmonizing along. Robert says, I love your site and I think follow a lot. Everybody just needs to live and let live. Thank you. That's true. Alex was he was being a little flippant when he said, get over yourself. What are you trying to retain? You've had your time. I'm paraphrasing what he said. That's the part which a little sharper than just saying, I wouldn't go on stage in a chair. He's allowed to say that. It's just that other part, I think. And by the way, he did say he wouldn't play Rush music. So there you go. Well, we have 101 people with us right now, which is rare for a live feed. We get 70 usually. And on Friday nights, we'll have sometimes about 100 because we do a Friday night live on Fridays. My wife and I get on. We answer your questions. I like having her on because it's just nice to have someone on with me. Julia says, speaking of three singers, Three Dog Night is still touring. Well, yeah, but one guy's not with them and another guy's dead. But they have they filled in that gap. Lucinda begs. Interesting that Alex said in the same interview that he will never play Rush music again. That's true. We just mentioned that a few times. I guess that rules out Lee Lifeson. I think it does. And he also mentioned in the interview he doesn't really want to do a big tour anymore or any kind of that those days are gone for him. He certainly doesn't need the money. My favorite Hike with Mike says my favorite Rush album was Signals. Art Matters says Rush Time Machine Tour DVD in Cleveland is great. I do have it, but Rush in Rio is the best. The energy is off the chart. Thank you for that. FD, Ray Wilson, singer for Calling All Stations, was on a hiding to nothing. He still makes a living singing Genesis songs. Yeah, he does, actually. With Neil and I. Saw Genesis in Liverpool, UK. First gig since lockdown, and it was just great to get back to live music. But watching Phil was quite sad when I remember the power of his old performances. He was amazing. He was amazing. But you saw him then, and I saw him then twice. And people come, and they're selling out every night. They have a right to do it. Alex was just being off the cuff, I think. And again, when you meet someone and they do crap, and you're on guard. They say crap, you're on guard, especially if you first meet them. But that could be an isolated incident. And Alex has proved that he doesn't do stuff like that. He doesn't say stuff like that. So obviously he feels strongly about it. Anthony Sondheim, Arnell and Dean, their drummer. Yes, he sounds like Steve Perry. Dean Castronovo sounds like Steve Perry. Jeremy Skaggs, Terry Kath was the man. He was. Anthony from Journey. Alexander, in comparison with the beginning of the tour, his voice sounds much stronger now. Oh, is that right? Okay, I'll have to check out some clips. David says Power Windows is great. Another comment, to see an incredible Genesis performance, you must see Steve Hackett. No arena or a huge production needed. By the way, if you like Steve Hackett, I've interviewed him 6 times. All the interviews are on this channel. And they've done incredibly well. Because Steve... and it's nice, every time I interview Steve Hackett, he always goes, hey, John, you're looking well. It's nice that he knows who I am. Because a lot of times, it's strange. Mike Reno tonight, we were talking about our first chat. I've only talked to him twice. And he says, I remember meeting you. I remember walking into that radio station. I remember that. And, I can't show you the picture. Or can I? Hold on. Oh, I need to shout in the microphone. Hold on a second. Wait a second. And Alex got some weird hair going on there. Hold on, I'll show you the picture. There you go. Posts. Look at those good-looking guys. 2007. Look at that. He walked into the radio station. I was running the station at the time. I was the program director and the morning show host. And that was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. After that, I told myself, I don't want to be on live radio anymore. I'm done. Thank you. I've done my time. Maria Day. When there was talk of Steve Perry coming back, I said I'd be happy to see him sit in a chair. Yeah. Steve, when they'd have to lower the key for the songs, they do that for most artists who get older because they lose the high end of their voice a lot of the times. Sorry, it's getting late here. It's 10 o'clock. Hike with Mike says, being Steve Perry and sounding like Steve Perry are two different experiences and realities. Yeah. Well said. We all get old. Robert said, this is what you can expect when you get Genesis versus Rush. This channel has authenticity with all your experience. Thank you. FD, apples and oranges. Very true. Very, very true. Oh, Lucinda, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Keep up the great work, John. Please say hi to Shannon, Chase, and Danica. Wow. Thank you. We don't get a lot of super chats, but it's nice. We always put it towards advertising because we've got an advertising campaign going on right now where we're advertising our trailer so people can join up because we're at 90,000 subscribers now. Please like our video as well. Thank you. Little Wing. Hi, Little Wing. Genesis and Phil Collins peaked with their self-titled album in 1983. That's the last tour I saw, Home by the Sea, Illegal Alien, and Mama. I've always hated Mama. Always. That's all. They should have stopped after that album. Oh, no, I don't know. If people keep going, the band's just doing... And look, if people stop going, then the band's making a mistake. But if people keep going as a business proposition alone, you want to continue it. When businesses change their idea, when I change my structure on YouTube, I do it because my hits go down, and we've gone through that in the last couple of years. All of a sudden we have to start doing different videos going, oh, we're not getting as many hits. We changed it and we started getting our hits back. Art Matters, wheelchair. I just need a time machine. Hike with Mike. As a singer, Steve Perry was the pinnacle of singing that I look up to, and you are not alone. Yeah, I hear you, man. Thank you for some people. I know with the numbers of people we have on here that there are a lot of you who have not been here before. And if you don't know our channel, just to let you know, I'll get to the comments in a second. We interview rockers every single day. It's rare for us. And if we don't interview someone, what we'll do is we'll come on and do a live feed with you and talk about a particular subject. But we do this less than we do interviews. We do a lot of interviews on this channel. Just go back or look at the playlist. You'll see all the people we've interviewed. There's a lot. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like our videos, get involved with us. Oops, sorry, I hit the microphone. David says, if Genesis got new blood without Phil or Peter, maybe I'd like them more. It's too late for that, though. Even though Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks seem pretty healthy. But you never know, right? I remember when Richard Wright died of Pink Floyd, I remember going, what? He's dead? What happened to him? Was he even sick? And people were saying that for Neil Peart, speaking of Rush, because they kept it under wraps that he was wraps, not under a rat. What? Frank says, Home by the Sea, just got done listening to the live version. Excellent. Cool. A man. Your username is a man. You've cornered the market there. I'll tell you what, Genesis spared no expense throughout all their touring years on sound, lighting. Oh, I'm getting tired, sorry. And the stage show. One crazy white boy says, hey, John, when is that Triumph documentary coming out? It's out in Canada. It's out. It's on Crave TV in Canada. So it's on demand on Crave TV. I'm not sure in the US if something's going on. I always do this, by the way. Someone asked me the other day. When I talk an awful lot, my mouth gets, I don't know, liquidy. That's a good thought, isn't it? Thanks, John, for sharing that information. Alex says, Mama would have been awesome on Abacab. Abacab's one of my favorite albums. I love Abacab, but I did not like Mama. Iron Man 2009. Hey, from Southern California, 56 p.m. here. Appreciate you being up late. Well, it's like I said, it's 10 o'clock here. Yeah, I just did when I did the Mike Reno of Loverboy interview tonight, it was 3 o'clock his time, and it was 7 o'clock our time. But the guy who set up the interview knows that if we want someone, because they also handle Huey Lewis and the News, they handle Hall & Oates, the Tubes, and a few other people that I'd love to talk to. So there you go. Thanks, Iron Man 2009. Johnny Torch, the problem with Genesis fans are there is a Gabriel era versus a Phil Collins era. That's very, very true. And then there's people like me who like both eras. I discovered Genesis and then there were three. That was a few eras, like Anthony Phillips was gone, Steve Hackett was gone, Peter Gabriel was gone. So by the time I got to them, they were a trio, and I listened to it and I loved it. And then I went back and I think the one I bought after that was Selling England by the Pound, then Trespass, as they say in the UK. Kent says, I've always hated Mama too. What a disturbing song. What were they thinking? Home by the Sea was terrific. I agree with you. Jeremy Skaggs, I always liked driving this. Oh, The Last Spike from We Can't Dance. Great song in the album. They have had some moments there. Yeah, I was wearing my Invisible Touch t-shirt the other day, and I said, I don't even really like that album that much, but I got the t-shirt because I bought it at Marshall's. Johnny Torch, that's the way it's always been. Frank says, if someone insults the other, they are just admiring. Think about it. I don't know about in this case. I think he was just being off the cuff. Alex Lifeson doesn't do that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, if Alex Lifeson turns out to be, I think like a lot of us watching the Grammys, what's going on? What? That's not music. What the hell? You know, that's me watching the Grammy Awards. Not the Oscars, even though I'm not sure if I'm going to watch the Oscars this year, but I probably will. I think it's normal to have a lot of problems with newer music if you're older and you had the I don't believe in saying music today is crap. I discover new music all the time, but it's not rock as much. You know, it's not necessarily rock that I like. I don't like new country, but I like a lot of the AAA people. Oh, Frank says the like button is lonely. How many do we have? 68, 112. We're not going to quit because if we have over 100, the rule of thumb, I'm tired, on YouTube is you don't quit a stream if you have over 100. And we've never had that. So we have had that, but we never quit with that. The video is fantastic. I'm in AM Music. Really enjoyed your interviews. You run a great channel. Thank you. When I was interviewing Mike Reno tonight, I took everything I had. I had to interrupt him 3 times because it seems like he's finished and then he'll continue because he's just thinking about his thoughts. He's not doing anything wrong. And I had to apologize a few times because I have a tendency to let people talk. That's really my thing. I don't go, You know, notice a lot of people in the interview, they go, really? Cool. Shut the hell up. Just nod. You're on the video with the guy. Some guy asked me for some pointers because he knew I was a broadcaster. And I listened to one of his interviews. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but he's out there interviewing people. And I said, you have to stop saying, oh, is that right? Yeah. All right. Stop. Because that clip is useless with you all over it. You could never sell it because you're sometimes overlapping on top of the guy. And I thought about that when I talked to Mike Reno tonight. I'm going, ooh. You know, I got to be careful because eventually someone's going to want to buy your interviews. And they're not going to want to buy it if you're overlapping on top of the artist. They can't use it in a different modality or they can't because you're in it. You can't be in it. They have to be able to take you out. Okay, sorry. So thank you, AM Music. W. Worden. Worked Genesis at Dodger Stadium back with Freddie from the crew. Phil was cool. Hey, thank you for sharing that. W. Worden. Met the tube guy at Femmes in Phoenix. Snowman. Hey, Snowman. I've seen Rush every tour since 1984 till the last tour. That's amazing. Moving Pictures. That's the only time I saw them. Frank says, the tubes, oh boy, just think if it were for the tubes, we wouldn't know where the tubes are. Oh, I just couldn't read that. Nothing against you. Sometimes people's cadence and the way they write, I can't read. When I auditioned for a TV show a few years ago and I got it, but the money wasn't right. I couldn't move to Toronto for that kind of money. And I remember telling the guy at the teleprompter, I'm going, you know what, can I just read this script and ad lib around it? Because I'm not a good reader. As you can tell, I ad lib my radio show every single night. I don't write anything down because I'm too lazy to write things down. So I've learned to ad lib. So sometimes when I'm reading your comments, if your bounce of the way you were, and if it's not like I would, and of course it's not the way I would write it, right? It's your words. Sometimes I have problems. Surf Boy. Hey, from Boston, right on. We're going to Boston this summer. No one's like Jeff Beck. That's from Worden. W. Worden. Long Island serial killer. Like cereal? You kill cereal that you eat? Phil Collins needs to be insulted. Okay. Hike with Mike. A band is lucky if after one of the original members leaves or dies, they can get there a great replacement. Some bands never recover from a loss. Def Leppard was never the same after Steve Clark died. Frank says, the only Grammys I want to see are the ones in my bed. Bada boom. Prague, BC. Love, and then there were three. The band, the musical box, is coming to BC again. Oh, so you're actually from BC. Where are you from in BC? Thanks for what you do, John. My wife's from, you probably know this, we might have talked before. My wife's from Kelowna, or Penticton. She's not from Kelowna. We wanted to move to Kelowna, but the prices were too high. And it was time for me to be with my mom, and that's why we moved out here. Moved across the country. It was insane. Surf Boy, never quit, John. Thank you. Tamanako Martinez. I don't see it as an insult at all. And you know what? I can understand that. I don't think he was meaning it to be an insult. I think when I read that he said, well, I wouldn't be in a chair and I wouldn't be doing that, I was completely okay with that. And I'm a bigger Genesis fan than I am a Rush fan. I had no problem with that because I could understand so many. It's like coming to school wearing 50 colors in your hair in 1972. If you're in a chair, you're going to get people saying, wow, because that doesn't happen all the time. It's rare. So I got that part, Alex saying that, just when he said, get real, or what are you expecting, or what are you trying to prove? And that's the only part. I think he was just being flippant. Oh, Snowman, thank you. My favorite Rush album is Moving Pictures. That's the tour I saw. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Long Island serial killer. Can't get over that. That's so cool. Like cereal that you eat. Yes, Art. Maria Day, Fee Waybill. I'm trying to get an interview. Elaine Cox. It's an opinion. No one has the right to judge. DJ H Record Hound says, Frank Janiak, glad I didn't say the button was bad and needed sparkling. Okay, I. W. Worden. Yes, the tube guy backstage at Violent Femmes in Phoenix. Mr. Neal, Alex, is Elton John still as good as he was? No. The Stones? Nope. The Who? Nope. What's a rock star to do? Play golf. Sorry. Frank says, too funny, DJ H. You met Neil Young at a Taco Bell in California? Wow. Okay, let me see. I'm almost done here tonight. I saw both Genesis and Steve Hackett in Berlin in March and thought about which one I like better. Which one did you like better? Worden, Guess Who? Super band. They are trying to get an interview with Burton Cummings right now. Not in them anymore, but that's the way it goes. And Worden, Tragically Hip. Seen them. Never seen Tragically Hip. I am from Nanaimo, John. Oh, cool. My kids are in Nanaimo. My ex-wife and my kids all live in Nanaimo. I used to take the ferry to Nanaimo for that hour and a half to go get them. They'd get on the ferry with me, and they come an hour and a half back. So I'd be on the ferry on the weekend for 6 hours. But that's what we did. And then one day my ex-wife, who I got along with really, really well, way better than when we lived together, she says, why don't you hang out with us every couple of weeks? Why don't you just do that? And I got along with her husband. And it was not a good breakup, and I should have hated her husband, but I really liked him. I couldn't help but like him. He was just a nice guy, and we all got along. My girlfriend after that thought it was really weird. And she said, oh my God, how could you hang out with? I said, I don't know. I don't even look at her that way anymore. It's not even remotely. And once a year, I'll get on the phone. My ex-wife and I will talk. Hey, what's going on? We never talk about us, like ever. We talk about her life, our life, not our life together though, like ever. So, and I'm friends with most of my ex-girlfriends. I'm funny that way. It always seems to bother people when I say that I'm friends with my ex-girlfriends. I'm going, I don't know. I had 2 high school friends. They're very close to me, especially the last one. She's like one of my best friends, but she's also really close to my wife, Shannon. No funny stuff going on. We never talk about when we were together. I think it's just a lucky bounce that's what happens. How did I get off on that? Oh, I live in Nanaimo. I love Nanaimo. Hope you own a house because it's expensive out there. Aussie man? I don't know. Alex may have had Phil Collins when he brought up the chair, but he was mostly saying he personally will not be doing that. Yeah, a lot of people saying Phil's voice is tanking a little bit. Ty Man, Phil got most of the money taken from him. He needs to go on stage. I think it's a monetary thing. M. Worden, I got to roll pretty soon here. I bought the first Rush album. Oh, the one with John Rutsey. I was 12. Mike, Hike with Mike. See, I can't see anymore. I'm getting tired. The Long Island serial killer is actually alluding to a real killer. Is that right? Oh boy. Are you into true crime stuff? I'm very much into true crime stuff. I love it. A lot of people say, if you like it so much, why don't you do it? There's so many people who do it, who want to spend the time. I don't want to spend that much time. If you do true crime, you have to do so much research. And yes, I do research on this channel, but I don't want to do research on anything else. So I'm not going to do true crime. And besides, we have a niche here. We do well. We have 90,000 subscribers. So we do really, really well. Have you heard that Hart might have a reunion with the original band? I talked to the Fisher brothers. They didn't say anything about it. So I don't know. I don't think so. Where did you hear that? I'm curious of where you heard that. That's from Paulo. Paulo, let me know where you heard that. Iron Man. Ronnie Van Zant. When my time's up, out on my own, you won't find me in the old folks' home. Ain't that the truth? You got that right. M. Worden, the Stones were great. Last tour. Long Island serial killer. You're right, Mike. Okay, there's a lot of very fast comments. Love John. Okay, I'm going to go, guys, because I'm getting really, really tired. I appreciate you being on here, and thank you for hanging out with us and giving us your opinion on this. My final thought on this is basically, I think he's allowed, for me, I think it was okay, fair game for him to say, I wouldn't do that, because that's what he does. It's kind of like a plumber saying, okay, you do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. That's not the way to do it. I don't do it that way. You're going to do it. I wouldn't do it that way. Now, he was saying that. But when he dug in a little deeper, and I think he was just being flippant when he said that, what are you trying to prove? Get over yourself. So he's just being flippant, and then it gets spread by people like me, by everybody who saw that. And you can't not report on that, and that's okay. It's a fair question to come on here and talk about that. And that's just the way it goes. Anyway, thanks for the super chats tonight. I appreciate the donations. It means a lot to us, mainly because we're trying to grow our channel, and we're trying to get to 100,000 within the next 2-3 months, which I'm sure we'll get to. So good night. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's always fun. So let's talk about rock and roll. It's always fun. And check out our channel, like our videos, check out the other content we have on our channel. We have so much stuff going on. So if you're just jumping on now, you can check the feed out in a second. Take care.